Hey, what's up, y'all? I am Kiara Iman, and you are on episode 1 of Embrace Your Singleness. Today, we're going to be talking about lust and loneliness, and we are about to get very, very real. So, are you ready? I hope that you're ready. Well, I'll take it easy on you as we start off. So, I asked on my Instagram, what's one thing that you would do different in your singleness or your dating life? And the people have answered, which I appreciate y'all because I thought nobody was gonna respond. So, y'all to go. Y'all, everybody to go. Everybody, all right? So, someone answered, setting more defined boundaries, realizing that I never have to settle, never allowing my loneliness to lower my standards, and just believe who they show me. That is so real because more times than I like to admit, I have completely disregarded the red flag process. You know, you're like, oh, it's really not that bad because I have been in a state of, what do we want to call it? If we're being super honest, thirsty, y'all. I was thirsty for some attention. Were you thirsty? Were you thirsty? Anyway, also someone said, take heed to my accountability and address my past issues as a child. Why in the world do we just allow accountability to slip outside the door? It's like, I never heard of that. Accountability? Who is that when we are in the midst of temptation, child? Yeah, that's enough said by itself. But then about the part of healing from things in our childhood, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that as the segment continues. But that's really important. And that's one of the greatest gifts of singleness is because you have a lot of time to really face yourself and figure out what's really going on with me. Do I still have that trauma since I was little? Do I react this way because of how I was raised? That's really good. Another person said, I wish I had some more self-worth as well as more respect for the other person. Can we just stop there? Because a lot of the times when we are in our dating process or we're in our singleness, we revert to a lot of blame. And it's first knowing that if mess happens in this process at all, it's not on one person. And having self-respect will in turn definitely help you have respect for the other person. So the question is, do we know our value? But that's so real because I'm going to talk about too how for so long I heard about my value, but I didn't believe in my value. And I was constantly basically negotiating prices and bargaining myself for whatever. But that doesn't have to be the case anymore. Not for you. And it definitely is not for me because baby, I chose something different. It was time. Also, someone said not settling for anything below my standards. That's so real. The thing about standards is you have to set them. Like they can't be just something that you set because someone tells you to set them, because I've tried that, especially when it came to the area of purity. I was so confident that it was going to be a perfect process because someone kept telling me like, this is how it's supposed to go. So I was setting these rules and these boundaries for myself just to be good. But when they became tested, I didn't pass a lot of areas because I didn't believe in my standards myself. So if you're going to have standards, make sure that you set them. Make sure that you believe in them because then they will be unshakable. All right. And someone also said, let God send someone to me versus me trying to control and pick someone. That is so real. That is very, very real. I remember there was this time where I really wanted to be with this guy simply because I thought that this is how the process is supposed to go, but it was very unhealthy. Not just like with the blame on the other guy, but I was very unhealthy. I wanted him to be my everything. And so I was trying to tell him what he was going to be to me. That's not how it works, y'all. That's not how it works. But this is where we're going to get really real. So why has lust and loneliness been such a battle for me for the past couple of years? Well, I really struggled with rejection. And that's a part of the topic of healing from childhood. So I have never really considered myself the super poppin' girl. When I was growing up, it was like third grade where it really hit, where I started getting acne and I still have it up to this day. My teeth were throwing up gang signs, y'all. And I was the dark skinned girl. I had short hair, da da da. And I'm not saying that someone who looks like that is not beautiful, but I'm talking from the standpoint of the way that I saw myself. I had a hard time believing that I was special. I had a hard time believing that because I was overlooked, it felt like that I was still significant. There, that is where a lot of insecurity breeded, and I tried to change so much about myself. So it's like I got the braces, but then yes, my teeth may have gotten straightened, but then the girl on me on the inside still hadn't changed. It's amazing that you can be a young adult and still have that childlike lens that you look through of insecurity. So that started a lot of making decisions based off of fear of people not really wanting to accept me based off of looks. But then I would try really hard to work on my gifts and my calling and my talent. So I would try so hard to win people over because I wasn't sure if they really wanted the true me. First, it started with my looks, and then it started with the true essence of me. So when I wanted to get in that phase of dating and really wanting to be with someone because I thought that that would somehow make my insecurities go away, which it didn't, I really tried to do so much to hang on to something that wasn't worth hanging on to. But that's just really how it goes. I was looking for love, y'all. I was looking for a deep love. And it's amazing to me that we can feel like someone loves us deeply because they're in that moment of holding us when we're in those lustful moments. But then when you get out of it, the moment feels so temporary and you're like, where did the love go? It's really interesting too that I thought that I was finding love in my lustful actions, but I really wasn't. I thought that I was somehow being seen because I always wanted to know, does someone see me for me? Do they really? Does someone want me past all of the exterior? But then I would only give my exterior, hoping that you would come and enjoy the interior part of me, my heart. But that was just such a slippery slope. Then also, I dealt with loneliness a lot. I've always been someone who was like a floater, and I have never really been super, super poppin', but I've always been, kind of cool with people. But I've always had a lot of time by myself, like a lot of time, an immense amount of time. And in those spaces, I started taking on this lie that nobody wanted to be around me. So then when someone like a guy would give me attention, I would try to hang on to that as much as I possibly could because I was afraid, oh no, I'm about to go back into the state of being by myself. But let's talk about loneliness really quickly. Loneliness is a liar. It's completely a liar, and it makes you do things out of fear. It makes you pursue relationships out of fear. It makes you not trust God because a lot of the times God will pull us away into these places of a wilderness, and he would be using that time to set us apart. But then we try to fill it. We try to fill it with that person. Then if we don't feel like a person is coming, we go on social media. And just to talk about that a little bit, because for so long I didn't actually feel beautiful, I went through this phase and a phase that became a cycle where I would try to then work on sex appeal, and it just really didn't look that good on me, y'all, because you can always tell when a woman is just trying extra hard. It's one thing when you just got it, but it's another thing when you're just trying. So there's all of these things, but one of the greatest things that I've learned is lust and loneliness will never help me find true satisfaction. It tells me that I'll find satisfaction in a person. It tells me that I'll find satisfaction in giving my body away. But no, also, I'm not meant to find satisfaction in someone. I am only looking for them to be of service and for me to be of service to them because that true satisfaction can only be found in God. And you're like, Kiara, okay, that might be the cute little Christian thing to say, but y'all, I promise that it's real. It's really real. I'll tell you about a time where just recently I was in here praying by myself and the Lord just really began to speak to me. He was like, do you really want to be free from rejection? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I've been praying about this. I've been writing in my journal for years. He was like, then just believe. I was like, what? He was like, just believe. Every time that I tell you that you're free from rejection, you then discount everything that I say and you go back into that same mindset. I know that it sounds pretty like that's it. But yes, everything starts in our mind. If I can change the way that I think, then I can change the way that I act. The transformation happens first in our thought life. And I realized the way that I thought about myself was very, very negative. It was very sad and it just wasn't kind. I thought about myself as ugly. I thought about myself as, lame and kind of stupid, or what I had to say didn't matter, or that I wasn't enough. I constantly thought that I wasn't enough. And you can totally see that on a person, no matter how talented or gifted they are, or even how physically beautiful they are. If they don't believe they're enough, it's so readable. So, yeah, so he was just like, you just have to believe. And then, y'all, I just simply was like, I'm so tired of not believing. Are you tired of not believing that you don't have to react out of rejection, loneliness, or lust? Aren't you tired of making decisions and then getting consequences or just the fruit that you don't want? You just got to rise up. And I was tired battling for a long time, but just really intensively for the past year and a half, with so many issues and so much hurt and so much pain, and just crying because I knew that if I would choose purity and to just go ahead and make that decision to walk with God and just be obedient, that I knew that better would come, but I just had to trust that. And so that's all that God was asking me. Will you trust that I really, really am the author of your identity, and I can change the way you think so I can change the way that you act? So it was like in that moment, I saw every time, for the most part, I only have so much capacity, but I saw so many times I felt rejected by men. It started from the moment where I was the late bloomer and I didn't have my first kiss until 8th grade. And I remember another guy saying, "Oh my gosh, you haven't had your first kiss? You're what? Like, you're lame." And then it brought that pressure. And then all of a sudden, temptation comes, and there's this guy who's like, "Yeah, girl, I'll be your first kiss, okay?" And I was like, "Okay." And then that opened up the door to just mess, all right? So I'm saying all of this to ask you, one, what are you looking for, babe? What are you looking for? And what lens are you looking through? Are you looking through love, or are you looking through fear? Are you looking through acceptance, or are you looking through rejection? You have to know that acceptance does not start with someone else accepting you. It begins in here. I had to learn that. I definitely had to learn that. It does not matter how many times someone says they accept you. If you don't believe it, then it's almost as if what they say doesn't matter. Also, just know that you can completely be free from lust and loneliness. The enemy lies and says that you can't, but the truth is you can. My struggle has been so real, but I really know. I don't just feel anymore. I know that I'm free because I just believed. I simply believed. And now I'm in this place of really enjoying my singleness, enjoying every single moment that I'm by myself. That doesn't mean that the moments are happy, but I'm enjoying the moments where I'm actually down and that giant comes back up and says, "Ha ha ha, look at you. Nobody's paying attention to you." But then I get to look back at that giant and say, "I'm bigger than you. Here is my rock and my slingshot. I knock you out. And then I take the sword and cut your head off, and you won't haunt me or taunt me anymore, or the people around me. I'm coming to destroy the lies of loneliness that then leads to things that we do not want to partake in, or the things that our flesh wants to partake in, but we know is not beneficial to us at all or our purpose." So I want you to stop what you're doing, go get your journal, or go get something to write with. If you have to pause the video and use your notes on your phone, try this exercise that I've done that has really just started helping me embrace this state of my life. I wrote down, what am I not proud of in my singleness? Why don't I like this season? Or why do I make decisions in this season that aren't good for me? Then After you do that, you're going to meditate on that. Just really think about it. Then you are going to set goals and you're going to say, hey, I can't change this season, but I can contribute to it. I want to steward over this season well, and I need to find the purpose of it. So sit before God and let Him work that in you. I promise it will work, but you have to do it. You have to choose to go through the process. Just like you have to choose to be happy every day, you have to choose to be joyful, you have to choose to be kind, you have to choose to love, you have to choose your value, and you have to choose to be content. It's a choice. So, will you do it? All right. Can I pray for you? I just want to pray for you. And hopefully you say yes, because I'm going to do it anyway. But hey, God, so I just thank you so much for letting someone watch this video and to know that their struggle or their process has never been something that they've dealt with by themselves. I completely know what it's like to cry through so many seasons of hurt and pain and just so many things that I have not been proud of in my process of trying to walk out this thing called life. But Lord, I pray right now that they would invite you in, Lord, and I pray, God, that they would just choose contentment in their process of singleness, Father, that way they may walk in purpose, Lord, and that you would reveal yourself to them in this season. And it's in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, bye.